night.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of TED Excellence, the show in which we constantly try to learn how to pronounce people's names correctly, because to do otherwise would be racist, I think. And I come to you live from Crater Valley on the moon with Dogcat Fox, a Pepperjack, and all of you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome again to Thursday. Speechless Thursday. Derek LaRue, just before I started. Good gravy. Derek, thank you so much. That's ridiculously generous of you. I don't know what to say. So I'll just say, as always, thank you for your continued support and generosity. I should give a disclaimer ahead of time, and this is nothing to do with Derek. I am running on fumes today. For those of you that were here, and I very much apologize if you were, because it was early in the morning. For those of you that are here for my 3 a.m. stream this morning, I haven't really gotten much rest in between. I took something like a nap earlier. So if I'm more punch drunk, let's say, than usual tonight, that's probably why. My vocabulary might also be much more impoverished as a result. But regardless, Derek, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hope you are having a good evening and hope you enjoyed the show. Also, before the show started, Adabisi, thank you so much. Been a while, Sir Scribe. Oh, was I knighted somewhere in between? Miss being here, just listening to some Enya while I wait for the stream to start. Well, is it the memory of trees? Who can say where the road goes? Something, something, only time. That kind of thing. I may have purchased that album in my youth. Where I might have two Enya albums from the 90s. I might. In my CD collection. CDs are like 8 tracks at this point, aren't they? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for your generosity. Very much appreciate it. I will, as always, do my best to pay it forward in some fashion. Speaking of paying it forward in some fashion, Keeverdam, good evening to you, and thank you, Keeverdam, for providing the link to the Samaritan's Purse organization donation page for the Hurricane Helene victims, and now I guess by extension, the Hurricane Milton victims. If you have the opportunity, please take a look at that and donate if you are able, and even if you're not, if you can, share that out on social media. That'd be appreciated. So thank you so much for that, and thank you, Keeverdam, for providing the link. Funtime Bats, good evening. Advocatus Diaboli, good evening. Mike R., good evening. Duttura Jones, good evening. Noah Alexander. Okay. You've adopted my mispronunciation. Okay. All right, now I don't have to feel silly, because I'm saying it correctly now, right? and that's the entire purpose of tonight's episode, is saying names correctly, or screwing them up so often that someone feels forced to change it to accommodate the misspeaker. I feel kind of guilty now. Maybe that'll be a lesson of tonight's show. Good evening, Noah. Lurking Gopher, good evening. Shell D, good evening. Tyr Alexander, the Scourge, good evening. Fostonia, good evening. 3 a.m., then 6 p.m. with work in between. Does this host ever sleep? Hi, Scribe. Well, not only that, I had 3 a.m. work, dental appointment, while being completely sleep-deprived. I was laying there in the chair, and they're working on my teeth, and I was fading in and out of sort of like semi-dream state. So I had these very brief little handy snack size weird dreams as they're working on my teeth, but I didn't fall asleep. It was bizarre. But yeah, and then had to come back home and then do work again. And then I got something like a nap, but it really wasn't a nap. It was just like dozing for a couple hours. Anyway, so sorry I trailed off there. That'll probably happen a lot tonight. Vader35, good evening. Angelverse, good evening to you. Resolute Germ, good evening. And you showed up on the right night. Mishiru Kirirugi. I always like... I'm going to ask again. Is it Michiru or Mishiru? Michiru? I think it's the first one. Ah, dang it. I apologize. You're ridiculous lunatic. Good evening. This is a good show then for me. This is a good show. Get my Get my articulation back. Attack Alpaca, good evening. Who else is here? JB, good evening to you. Zero the Hero 909, good evening. Anybody else? Is everybody in? Mishiru, I was just watching your stream from this morning when I got the notification for this one. Oh, hey, timing is everything. What can I tell you? And Full Metal Joker, also known as Full Metal Joker. It is not easy for me to catch you live, Scribe. Well, because I am a wily game. You have to have the right bait. You can't catch me easily. It has to be something that I'm going to go for. And Bridget. Another name that I just, cover my bases by saying it in various ways. Say the Mitch part like itch. Michiru. Okay, I swear to God, one of these days, it's going to roll off the tongue and I won't feel discombobulated. Anyway, for anybody else that I missed, anybody lurking, anybody in the future, good evening. So as well, and along with all the flux of the day of my lack of sleep, I forgot to post the bingo poll. Tonight's bingo card by executive decision. Kurt Russell, Steven Seagal, is bingo card A. Links to the bingo cards are in the description below. Anything else that I need to mention before I get into this thing? It was actually kind of rough this week with TEDx. There was a whole bunch of stuff posted, but not a lot of stuff that was really all that interesting. But I had this one in my back pocket from about a week ago. Wasn't sure if I'd use it. I almost tried to use it at my 8th anniversary, but time became too short and my voice was giving out. So here we are. Rock us like a hurricane. What is tonight's subject? It's something we've covered before, but I always like to make sure that I've got everybody's, perspective on it. How correctly saying a name boosts influence and trust. Well, I guess I have an active example right here in the show. Michiru, do I have more influence and trust with you now that I've worked to say your name correctly? Or when the first time you were here and I tried it and I got it wrong, did you feel like, no, this person is not worthy of my... Even for a moment. I realize that things maybe have mellowed out over time, but is that true? So I don't know. This might actually be just sort of a very plain-spoken TEDx. It might not be judgmental. It might not be, if you say something wrong, it's racist or something. I don't know. That's why I wanted to make sure I get all the perspectives on subjects so I can at least learn something about something. Let's see. Maybe I can catch the secret word of the day and join the Discord, and if by some chance we end up in the same voice chat, I can tell you how to pronounce my name easier. That almost sounds like a stealth request for the Discord link earlier. So, there you go. Just for you. Link is in the chat right now. I'll put it again at the end of the chat. The secret word today is pronunciation. Just say pronunciation. If you can say it at all. Anyway, let's get on with this one. This one clocks in at just over 17 minutes. I better get started. This is going to be a long one. Get your bingo card A ready. Links in the description. And with that, start off with a few seconds for a sound test. Let me know if you can hear it, and we will proceed.
So there I was.
Floating in a swimming pool. You're probably wondering how I got here. That kind of thing. So there I was. You guys hear that okay? Let me know in the chat. Oh my gosh. Ostzan. Thank you for the hiya, Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowie. Wow.
Oh, that's a your boy Pat Dogcat Fox. Very breathy. Seductive Dogcat Fox. Thank you so much, Ostzan. Appreciate it. Let's see. Loud and clear says Adabisi. Sounds good says Scribe. Sounds good says Scribe Light. I'm like Ron Burgundy right now. I just see words and I read them. Sunset Boulevard reference. You are correct, Frosted Glass. At least in part. I don't think I quoted it exactly, but something to that effect. Anyway, so there I was.
Walking into this networking event, feeling like Beyonce at a Super Bowl halftime show.
So you were the star of the show?
Okay, minus the wind and the flawless choreography.
So not like Beyonce at a halftime Super Bowl show.
But I had recently learned that if you use someone's name continuously in conversation, you're seen as more influential.
If you use someone's name, okay, so I don't know, that might sound weird after a while. Like if I'm going up to Monkey, and we all know Monkey's first name at this point. I just kept like having conversation with, say, hey, Frank. Hey, Frank, what's up, Frank? So, Frank, tell me something. Frank, do you think about this? Maybe. I guess it depends on how self-centered the other person is. But, all right. So, yes, using someone's name can gain you some influence. I suppose it engenders familiarity.
So I spot this woman from across the room who's
just randomly
standing by herself. And I walk up to her and I glance at her name tag.
You look at her name tag.
Now, if I'm being honest, I didn't really read it. I more skimmed it, kind of like you do email on a Monday morning.
I don't skim my emails on Monday morning. I have to know what's in them to do my work. But maybe that's just me.
But I walked over to her and I said, hi, Latrice. And she seemed to smile. And I'm thinking to myself, nailed it.
Okay, I have had a similar experience before. I think I've told this story. In fact, I think I told this story the last time I did one of these that dealt with names and such. I once worked at a video store. I've talked about this before. And a customer walks in and he gives me his phone number. We used phone numbers for ID numbers back then as a default. And put it in there. And I looked at the name, the last name. And if I hadn't thought about it for a second, I might have said Mr. Carpenter. But fortunately, I noticed that at the end of the name, there was an I-E-R, not just E-R. And so, on a risk, because I'd never seen this guy before, and I just wanted to verify I was talking to the right person, I said, Mr. Charpentier? And you would have thought like light from the heavens dawned on me or something, because he got all excited. He's like, oh, everybody just calls me Carpenter. And I was like, oh, well, you know. So I have had that moment. I have had that moment. And it felt good. It felt good. And truth be told, having said his name correctly, and then him telling me where he was from I think it was Ontario or something. And yeah, it started a familiarity and a kind of friendship that extended just beyond, you know, renting videotapes. So I get where she's coming from. Maybe this TED Talk will be fairly good.
I start dropping her name every place I can think of to make her feel like a VIP. Oh, Latrice, that's such a good idea. Oh, Latrice, I was thinking the same thing. Oh, Latrice. Oh, Latrice.
Oh, Latrice sounds like a rom-com. In the chat, we have senior staff reporter and chief Florida correspondent Colleen Bernier. Yes, it's Bernier, not Bernier. Right? It's like Colleen Bernier. Scribe's real name is Scribe. Yeah, I know, right? I know. What was my mother thinking? Actually, my mother wasn't thinking anything. She was popped up on Demerol at the time. It was my dad that gave me my name. Because they hadn't decided. This is part of family lore. They hadn't figured out what they were going to name me before I was born. And so, my dad is just sitting there. My mom is all like zapped out because she had to have a C-section. And so he just took my mother's maiden name and made it my first name. Which effectively makes me one name short of a law firm at this point. Because my middle name is actually the first name of my grandfather. So I'm two last names and a middle and a first name. So close. Anyway, Latrice.
Before you knew it, I thought of myself as the most influential person in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Until I overheard her introduce herself to someone else.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
As Leatrice.
Leatrice? That sounds like the kind of name you'd get out of like a Game of Thrones kind of setup or something. Leatrice. Oh, no. And so, let me guess. she never said anything to you about it, didn't correct you, because it would probably be, I don't know, she'd probably think it was rude or something, and okay, what lesson do you think you learned from this honest mistake without any ill intent?
Leatrice, how can I do that?
Was there an I? How is it spelled? Because if it was just Latrice, I don't think anyone would be faulted for thinking it was pronounced Latrice. Was it Lia? Because then, maybe.
I was mortified.
Or Leatrice. See how specific I'm getting here? This is my English major brain working.
And it wasn't the fact that I mispronounced her name.
No, you pronounced her. She didn't mispronounced her name. You pronounced her name the best you could, and she didn't correct you.
That really got me. It was the fact that my ego got in the way.
Well, admittedly, maybe it's just my experience. I've met at least 2 Latrices in my life. So it doesn't feel like a name that's so exotic that getting it right on the first try seems like that big. How is it spelled? Seriously, how is it spelled? Could anybody be faulted for pronouncing it Latrice if it's written down? I don't know. Fostonia, thank you so much. Good God, there's a whole lot of red on this. I know. It's practically a Republican Party rally up there. Where does the red circle carpet end and our speaker begin? I don't know. Thank you, Fostonia. Appreciate it. Hope you're having a good evening and hope you enjoy the show. I think I already said... See, this... I already said hello to you earlier, didn't I? I did. It's not that I don't mean those things. It's just my brain is sort of on rote now. Okay. Oh, Pepperjack. Put me to sleep. No, not during the show. Not during the show. Just after the show, so I feel better tomorrow.
You see, karma came a-knocking just a few months later.
Well, you didn't do anything wrong. Karma? Wait a second. Okay. There was no ill intent. She didn't correct you. Unless you can show me a spelling of her name that would say, oh, you missed this or something or what. You're under no fault. What do you mean karma?
So there I am, Midtown America, getting ready to deliver a keynote.
Midtown America. Is that like Smallville?
And as I'm sitting off stage, I hear the announcer step up and say, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Mimi Brown.
Mimi. What is her name? I didn't even see what her name was at the top of this. Let's see. Okay, so Amelia Mimi Brown. Okay, so Mimi. Amelia Mimi Brown. Is Mimi like her nickname, or is that like really her middle name? Because I could see somebody with the name Amelia having the nickname Mimi. But okay, you said Mimi. Okay.
Did I just hear what I thought I heard?
Someone mispronounced your name. Okay, and?
My name is Mimi, not Mimi.
Well, okay, so did you go and, like, tirade this guy as a result? Thank you, JB. For like an entire year, I called a Chinese student the wrong name. Guy could have told me. Well, you know, there's a sense of politeness, right? Like, I generally think, or at least I extend the benefit of the doubt to people when I hear this. My real name is very simple. You can't really screw it up. There's really, well, unless you go to Starbucks and you ask for something and they write Ralph on the cup instead of your real name. But anyway, aside from that, I tend to think most people extend the benefit of the doubt to others, that when they are attempting to say someone's name, they're not, and they get it wrong, it's not done with malice aforethought, right? And depending on your sensibilities, depending on your culture and everything else, it might seem rude to correct somebody, you know, put them in an awkward position and so on. This is why I always predicate, as much as I can, any attempt to say someone's name who I'm not quite sure about. Like, I'm going to try, please correct me. Right? Because I can tell most times, unless somehow you have Latrice become, what was it again? Latrice or whatever? Anyway. Leatrice? Anyway. Yeah. So, I could see that. I could see the person like, it's like, I'm not going to bothering this person by correcting them, because otherwise it almost feels like sort of egotistical, like, excuse me, my name is actually, Sergeant Pepper or something. I don't know. But thank you, JB. Blakester, the speaker probably pronounced the person's name correctly, and the person introduced herself. Now how people commonly say it. That could be. Who knows? Okay, well, anyway, so yeah, someone mispronounced your middle name. Or your secondary first name, whatever it is. And?
But I let it go.
Why wouldn't you? If you hadn't had that prior experience, what would you have said to this guy?
Then she did it again.
Again?
Mimi Brown!
Oh, and so then what did you do?
And this time I'm thinking, okay, my name isn't hard. It's one syllable and it repeats.
Okay. Let me go to the bingo card real quick, because I have been ignoring this, even though we're only 2 minutes into a 17-minute thing. All right, so let's go over. Bingo card A, remember. Collectivize his own demographic? Not yet. Systemic institutional? No. Sales pitch for product or service? It sounds like she's some kind of life coach or something, but she hasn't actually said that for sure yet, so I'm gonna wait. Childhood or family anecdote? Not yet. Diversity, equity, and inclusion? Not yet. Plays victim? We might be getting there. I'll wait a second. Microaggressions or unconscious bias? I'm gonna wait. I have a distinct feeling we might get there specifically. Privilege? No. Contradicts own point or argument? Maybe. Because if she's about to get all up in arms against this person for mispronouncing her name, then her opening anecdote doesn't make any sense. Patriarchy, no. Deceptive statistics, not yet, if any. Economic disparity, no. Feminism, no. Marginalization, it's possible. We'll see. A list, not yet. White supremacy, no. Word salad, not yet. Self-vilification or wretchedness, just enough to say yes with her opening story. That she did the bad thing. That she's now apparently going to be holding against someone else. I'm circling that one. Weightless example or non sequitur? Not yet. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase? No. Mind reading assumes motives? Let's wait and see on that one. Benevolent condescension? Not yet. Anecdote that probably never happened. I can believe the first anecdote. It's not usually the case where someone gives out an anecdote that probably never happened, where they end up being in the faulted position. So I'm willing to believe that she honestly thought she was pronouncing this person's name correctly and then was blindsided by a correction of their own. And lastly, leaves out vital context. Not seriously yet. So far on the card, remember this is bingo card A, we have free space circled and self-vilification or wretchedness. Several others that may come up, but let's see. So this person pronounced your name wrong twice, and then...
Hard, it's one syllable, and it repeats.
Oh, okay. Now I'm circling plays victim. That sigh alone sealed the deal.
But then she said it a third time, and I thought, do I correct her? Do I say something? Would it be rude? You know what? She is paying my check.
So you want to bite the hand that feeds you in front of an audience?
So she can call me whatever she wants.
Really? I seriously doubt that. Are you waiting for a laugh? I think she's waiting for the audience to laugh. You know, there might not be a microphone in the audience that would pick it up, so I can't tell if they're laughing. I'll have to listen very closely. Let's find out.
So she can call me whatever she wants. And it's just a name, right?
Well, now I have to do this. It's just a name, right? Uh-huh. And with that look on your face, I can tell it's not just a name. Mimi was my grandmother's name, or Mimi was my mother's pet name, for something like that, right? Mimi is connected to your family line or something.
Wrong.
Okay.
I could feel a pit in my stomach.
That sounds like a you problem.
And it wasn't just because she mispronounced my name.
Oh, well then, so you're actively adding on baggage to the situation of your own accord then.
It was the other feelings that cropped up for me.
Like?
See, in that moment, I felt disregarded.
You weren't. And that's your problem. As the great bard Lane Staley said, this is a pain self-chosen.
And dismissed.
You were not, you were the keynote speaker, and this lady was announcing you and referring to you on stage. You were being paid for your time, as you said.
Now here I am, the keynote speaker at this very large event with hundreds of people.
Yeah.
In a position of power.
I suppose. I mean, sort of power by fiat of nobody had a choice but to listen to you. But sure, yeah,
But I felt small.
That is decidedly self-imposed once again.
And I thought to myself, if I feel like that, just imagine how other people would feel in a similar situation.
I don't know. How would other people feel in a similar situation? Maybe you could just be gracious and roll with it and not interrupt the proceedings that way. You know, it's an honest mistake. Just mark it up to an honest mistake. There's this, I don't know if you can find it anymore. I could be mistaken, but they might have scrubbed it from the internet or something. Long ago, there was an interview on Regis and Kathy Lee when Kathy Lee was still on the show, and she was interviewing. I might need to be corrected on this. I believe it was Martin Short. I could be wrong. I believe it was Martin Short, and Kathy Lee started asking Martin Short about his life and his family and everything, and she made a joke or started asking about his wife. And, what does she think about you doing this, that, and the other? And he says something to the effect of, oh, no, she really appreciates it. She loves it and everything else. Now, unbeknownst to Kathy Lee, Martin Short's wife had died several years earlier. I believe of cancer or something. And if I'm wrong about the Martin Short part, I apologize, but I think it was Martin Short. But Martin Short rolled with it, even though in the interview you could see when she references his wife a little bit of a pause. He rolls with it and he just continues on with the interview, and he's exceedingly gracious about her mistake. He doesn't chalk it up to her being mean. It's just one of those things where, she didn't know or she had a mind flub, whatever, and he just goes along with the interview, and there's no interruption, there's no awkwardness. And obviously she finds out after the fact, and she's completely mortified, and he's completely just forgiving. It's no, it's fine. That's how polite adults work, right? You don't chalk up to maliciousness, which could just be an honest mistake or a flub. That's the adult thing to do, unless or until you have evidence to the contrary. Now, is our speaker, in this anecdote at least, acting like an adult? I guess we'll see.
And then the light bulb went on.
Oh.
That's exactly how Leatrice must have felt when I kept calling her Latrice.
Okay, mind reading assumes motives. You have no idea what Leatrice was thinking. You are projecting onto her your own personal sensitivities and paranoias. But, let's see. Affirmation. Affirmation for my dwindling memory. It was Martin Short, Scribble. You remember? Okay, good. I wasn't... Because I kept thinking, was it Martin Short or Rick Moranis? I was pretty sure it was Martin Short, but part of my brain was like, was it Rick Moranis? Either way. Okay. And Frosty points to him. That's how it's done. Yeah. Especially when you're on a live interview on a broadcast. You don't interrupt the interview and say, oh, no, by the way, my wife's dead. It's just like, I mean, it'd bring things down pretty quick. So, yeah, he was just completely a pro about it and just let it slide and didn't make a big deal out of it. And, it's just one of those things. People make mistakes. Oftentimes, people make honest mistakes, or at least mistakes that you can extend them the benefit of the doubt. But our speaker, apparently, she can't do that. So, let's see. I already did self-vilification or wretchedness, also plays victim. Okay, so are we going to get to microaggressions or unconscious bias? Please tell me.
You see, names are more than just sounds. They're more than just labels. Names are our point of connection with someone.
Sure. That's got nothing to do with assuming someone is so sensitive that you've psychically harmed them by mispronouncing something. Frosted Glass, thank you so much. It was an O.J. Simpson interview. Very awkward. Oh. Well, boy, my memory just sucks, don't it? That would be an awkward interview. Kathy Lee and O.J. Simpson talking about his wife. Yeah. It's like, so how does your wife appreciate your trophies all over? Oh, yeah, she really likes them. Now that she's dead. I don't know what I'm saying. Adabisi, thank you again. I think these people are addicted to power. She wanted someone to apologize and feel small next to her. Okay, so you think that maybe her opening anecdote is a little bit of self-deprecation, so she doesn't come across as a complete self-centered narcissist, but to also say that, no, I've done it too, but now I know what it's like to be the victim. Maybe it's something like that. That opening story was sort of a Trojan horse after a fashion. Could be. Could be. Thank you, Adabisi. Well, let's see where she takes us. How far does she take this? Does she go back to Leatrice? I want to say Leatrice. I know I've already screwed it. Leatrice? Leatrice. That's what it was. Leatrice. Does she go back to Leatrice and apologize profusely?
It's our way to relate to someone.
Sure.
And when we properly pronounce someone's name, we're sending a powerful message.
Again, sure. But in the moment of polite conversation or a professional environment, maybe it's not the time to correct, and maybe the other person just lets it go because they're not as sensitive as you are.
You matter.
I do. I matter. Scribe lives matter.
And this brings me to something deeper that I've learned along my journey.
Okay.
You see, I've been really privileged to coach leaders from all walks of life.
Oh, privileged. Oh, privilege is on the board and used, and not as a point of complaint, but just as part of general speech. My gosh. All right. Privilege circled on the board. All right. So also sales pitch for product or service. This is the stealth marketing portion of the presentation.
On how to harness their presence, communicate more effectively, and even being more influential.
Presence, communicate more effectively, and be more influential. Boy, that sounds like, well, I mean, if you add presence and some Melpomene in there, you could almost make yourself a daughter of cacophony. Anybody get that reference?
And what I've learned is influence doesn't come from grand gestures.
It can.
It comes from small, subtle cues like getting someone's name right.
Oh, so like micro appreciations?
And that's why this is so close to my heart.
Okay.
As someone who has gotten names wrong and had my own name mispronounced, I've learned that these small moments are where influence truly begins.
Okay. So are we going to start off with some ridiculousness but come around to a general platitude type truth?
And so today, we're going to explore how names and the way we use them are deeply connected to this concept of influence.
All right. Well, we've moved on from an introduction to the body of the paper. All right. Let's see how she does.
Let me tell you about a childhood friend.
A childhood friend. Well, that sounds like the beginning of a childhood or family anecdote. So circling that one on the board.
To Mecca, or at least that's what I thought until recently.
Whoa. Wait, did she say Mecca? Like the place? What?
Let me tell you about a childhood friend. To Mecca.
Oh, Temecca. That's the name of the child. Okay, Temecca. All right. Well, that sounds like, depending on if I saw it for the first time without having it pronounced to me, I might be off.
Or at least that's what I thought until recently.
Was it Tamika? It was Tamika, wasn't it?
For over 30 years, I thought her name was Tamika.
Oh, you thought it was Tamika, but it's actually Temecca. Tamika, Temecca, potato. Let's call the whole thing a push.
We went to the same church. We went to rival high schools. We even went to the same college.
Did you ever speak to this person? Oh, she was a childhood friend, correct? So, wait. You had a childhood friend whose name you were mispronouncing for 30 years. And neither she nor anyone associated with you corrected you?
So imagine my surprise as I read her Facebook post and realized I never really knew her name.
Wait, you said childhood friend. That doesn't make any sense. You said she said 30 years, right?
When I asked her about this, she said, well, for years people called me Tamika and I never corrected them.
Oh, okay. Well, then that completely explains it.
In fact, not even my family would correct them.
Okay. Well, then what's the problem?
I remember actually being at the doctor's office around 6 years old. And the nurse was running down the patient call list. Tamika Thurman and her.
Okay. Well, again, I guess to go on 30 years and say nothing is a little odd, but obviously there was no ill intent on anyone's part, and if she never corrected anybody and nobody bothered to correct anyone else, then that's on her.
Call list, Tamika Thurman, and her mother said she's here. She never stopped and said, that's not how you pronounce her name.
Because it was not important, probably.
Since she didn't correct them, I didn't feel a need to.
Well, you didn't know. This is what we call an honest mistake.
She said, I didn't start owning my real name until I was in college.
You know, this sounds almost exactly like the story from the last name thing I did. It was the Starbucks name TEDx. It was something like, what truth can you learn from a Starbucks name, or whatever else. And I think I told the Ralph story then, too. And the lady on the stage had a similar story of someone who had went years and years, or maybe it was her herself, who went years and years without correcting people about her nickname or her name or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's your fault.
I was floored.
Wow.
Can you imagine knowing someone, even loosely, for 30 years and never knowing their real name?
You knew her real name, you were just mispronouncing it. I'm assuming it was spelled the same regardless.
And for so long, she let other people define her. Not because she wanted to, but simply because no one, not even her family, thought it was necessary.
Define her. Okay, here's the thing. A name may indeed identify you, and absent knowledge that someone else might or might not possess, your name may be connected to a larger family story. It's true. But you are not defined by your name. Unless your family names you Mortimer, and then you're pretty much sunk from the beginning. But aside from that, this doesn't define her as a person. And if she never said anything, that may say something about her character, or at least her unwillingness to stand up for herself. But mispronouncing her name is not a crime.
Now here's a twist.
Oh, is it an M. Night Shyamalan type twist? Is Temeka actually, I don't know, Jonathan or something?
When Temeka started using her name as she went to apply for jobs, she wasn't getting any phone calls.
Maybe she has a lousy personality. I mean, obviously it's her name.
On the advice of her boyfriend at the time, he said, why don't you change your name to Tommy?
Tommy. Tommy, can you hear me?
And it was crazy because the calls start flooding in.
So wait a second. She went 30 years without using or correcting people on the pronunciation of her name. And then, in order to try to get a job, she uses a false name. In fact, not even a name that could be reasonably construed from her real name. And you're worried about her being defined by others falsely? What?
As she walked into her first interview, the interviewer looked at her shocked.
Yeah, because Tommy is generally a boy's name.
You're Tommy?
Like Thomasina?
He asked.
Yeah.
Surprised to see a woman.
Well, why are you giving such a judgy look for that? You know, if I saw a job interview for Vivian Cartwright, and I see a guy walk in with spiky orange hair and a jeans jacket, I might be like, Vivian? And now if you get that reference, you're a total nerd.
That small change, just tweaking her name, changed the trajectory of her job search.
Tweak? That was an alias. That was a fake name. That wasn't tweaking. That wasn't taking like Temeka and calling herself Timmy or something. No, that was Tommy? A boy's name? And Advocatus Diaboli got it there pretty quick. Young ones, yes, the young ones. Vivian, who has no idea how to use a door.
And dare I say, her life.
Okay, what lesson am I supposed to be learning from this? When in doubt, falsify your name?
And it wasn't just about changing her name.
Did she get the job? No. Hold on. Hold the phone here. Did she get the job? After walking in and lying about her name, did she get the job?
It was about how people saw her because of it.
What are you talking about? I want to see the spelling of this name. Because if everybody and their brother called her Temeka forever, I am going to assume it is spelled something like Temeka. Right? Temeka. Instead of Temeka. I'm going to assume, because you're not giving me any information otherwise. In fact, it would be a really good visual aid for your presentation if you had just the pictures of name tags coming up on the screen every time you gave one of these examples, just so the audience could see and perhaps relate to the conundrum of pronouncing names correctly. But anyway, so everybody calls her Temeka for 30 years. And who's at fault for this? What fault is done? What harm has been caused? And then she lies about her name on a job application, and that's not her, dismissing her name or not standing up for her? I'm confused. I am super confused. Derek LaRue, thank you again, Derek. Holy cow, for the very respectful, bowing Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Well.
The only way to contrast such respect is with some goofball-tailed feature. Okay.
And this made me think.
Oh, it did.
How do names affect the way we're perceived?
Well, just don't say Muad'Dib too strongly or else bad things happen.
And does that perception influence the opportunities that we're given?
It wasn't... the opportunity had nothing to do. You have no idea why or why not she was denied or not called back on job applications. You have no idea if Tommy was the thing that did it or not. You're implying it, but you have no evidence of this. And it wasn't about pronunciation. She put on a false name. This is all over the place. For a moment, for a brief moment, after her kind of wandering introduction, I thought maybe, just maybe, this might be getting to, like I said before, a true but relatively platitude truth about things. It's like, if you make a connection with someone through their name, it can open up doors of possibilities. And as I said before, Carpenter versus Charpentier. I wouldn't have had that moment if I hadn't paused for a second to think about it. And I did take a risk. I mean, I could have gotten it completely wrong. But it made a connection, and it grew into something beyond a simple transaction between, a customer and a clerk behind the counter. So yes, those things can happen, right? But it's all about intent. And the responsibility for correction, if it is even necessary at all, falls upon the person who holds the name. Thank you, Frosted Glass. To be fair, the position involved playing pinball. I made that joke earlier. I said, Tommy, can you hear me? See, okay. I was there. I was there before you were, dude. Jeez. Thank you.
Names hold incredible power.
Yes. Just read certain passages out of the Necronomicon and see what happens.
And science even backs this up with something called the cocktail party effect. It's that phenomenon when you walk in a room or a crowded room and you can instantly hear your name.
That doesn't happen very often. My name is not super obscure, but it's also not exceedingly common. So that always makes me feel just a little bit alone. Of course, people with more common names probably disregard it more easily than others, or they're constantly rubbernecking.
Our brains are wired to respond to our names.
Uh-huh.
And studies show that hearing your name actually activates the prefrontal cortex in your brain.
Oh my gosh, guys, did you know that if somebody says your name, you react to that? Wow.
That's linked to identity and social recognition.
Identity and social recognition. A name being said out loud that is yours? Or is at least is the same as yours? Wow, okay. How much money was actually spent on funding that conclusion?
And get this. This is
Get this.
even in people who are in a medically non-conscious state.
Yes, I have heard tales of people who are in a comatose state or otherwise responding, EKGs and so on, to having a familiar voice or their name being spoken. And I think I learned this in like a Law and Order television episode from like the 90s or something. Wow.
So that means using someone's name correctly can make them feel seen.
Make you feel seen. But what if I'm blind?
And heard.
And heard? What if I'm mute?
Like they matter.
Like Tommy. Can you hear me?
Because they do.
Oh, wow.
Now imagine all the missed opportunities when someone's name is overlooked or grossly mispronounced or even dismissed.
Overlooked, grossly mispronounced, or dismissed. So far, you, with no ill intent, called someone Latrice. You, at no fault of your own, called someone Tamika. Versus Tameka. Is that a gross mispronunciation? Tamika versus Tameka? Oh, excuse me. Pardon me. That was... I belched. Didn't mean to. It just kind of happened. It reminds me of the example. I'm remembering this now. From the last names thing. The lady went on forever talking about... this was the Starbucks name deal. She went on and on and on about how saying someone's name wrong is insulting and it hurts their feelings and it causes them trauma and da-da-da-da-da. And then she said, and then I had a friend when I was growing up named Ryan, but my mother, who English isn't her first language, she had a really hard time pronouncing the name. She kept calling her Rain. And I remember thinking, okay, so could you extend the same benefit of the doubt to everyone else around you, that they're not saying your name incorrectly to insult you, as you would your own mother who's doing her, very best to say your friend's name correctly? This is such a ridiculous complaint. Unless, if someone is actually saying your name incorrectly in a form of mockery or in a form to denigrate you, usually it comes across pretty obvious. Unless it's so super stealth that you just can't tell. But even then, what is the adult thing to do? What is the mature thing to do? Move past it.
If hearing your name can activate your brain in a medically non-responsive state, imagine what happens when you use it with intention.
I don't know. I can imagine quite a bit.
To encourage, to empower,
yeah,
to connect.
Yeah. Say my name, say my name.
How powerful is that?
How do you get 17 minutes out of this? We're 8 minutes in, and I feel like we're already at the end. She's made her point. The end. I really hope there's something else coming here, because if we just have a recitation again and again of, do you know it's really nice when someone hears their name said correctly? I'm going to feel like I was cheated. TEDx, I'm feeling like I'm cheated.
Now, let's take a look at how names hold significance across cultures.
Oh, for crying out loud. This is how names are constructed in this part of the world, and this is actually very meaningful because they take parts of the family names of both sides of the family and they do this. And if you say it wrong, it actually means you're now married to the daughter of the chief or something. I don't know.
By the way, it's really important to me to pay respect and honor the indigenous cultures of the places.
You know what? I'm going to call that. I'm going to call that a psychic moment. Okay. I was just kidding. Are you going to have a land acknowledgement? Tell me you're going to have a land acknowledgement in the middle of your TEDx talk. That'd be great. Usually it comes up at the beginning.
Indigenous cultures of the places that I visit.
Oh,
so
okay.
naturally, in preparation for today, I wanted to get things right.
Oh. Well, when was that going to start?
And that's when I was introduced to Tyson.
Tyson. Are you sure it wasn't Tyson?
Librarian teacher at Mari Language at Victoria University of Wellington.
Okay.
Tyson was kind enough to help me with my pronunciation.
Oh, okay. So you admitted you had a lack of knowledge about something and someone was willing to help you. Oh, well, there you go. That's how it usually works.
Now, let me tell you, I've been practicing a lot.
Well, good for you. I like I say, I can appreciate someone taking the time to get someone's name pronounced correctly. I've done it many a time before, and I still screw it up. But I think people understand. There's no malice intended. Thank you, Keeverdam, again. Remember how to pronounce. You're putting me on the spot. It's oh, and then you follow up with the answer. You didn't give me a chance to embarrass myself. Thank you, Keeverdam. It's Quiva. That sounds like a naughty term for a female. Never mind. I probably just insulted somebody, didn't I? Is it really Quiva? See, that's like that Sorsha name or whatever, or SAIO, that thing that one actress has that I never get right. Thanks, Keeverdam. Just making. See, this is the exact kind of discomfort I have when I encounter a name and I want to say it correctly. I want to be welcoming to my audience and people that come into this show and do my best, but also extend the disclaimer that I'm not perfect. I'm not super worldly. I don't know really any languages outside of English and a little bit of German and a little bit of Spanish. So if I see something I'm not... Oh, this is the one I was talking about. Abdul say... I don't know. Siab Han. I don't. Siobhan, right? Siobhan. Yeah. No, see, I don't. My brain's not working already because of the sleep. You guys are torturing me. Stop it.
But let's just say I'm still a work in progress.
Great. And see, if you say that ahead of time and people know that you're trying, they're probably not going to hold it against you. That's all you need to do if that is even an issue to come up. Come on.
And I might have gotten close. But Tyson, if you're out there, hopefully you give me a B+ for effort.
What is this talk?
Here in New Zealand, the Maori culture's names are more than just labels.
Oh, she's in New Zealand? Oh, I didn't know that.
They honor the ancestors and connect to history.
See, I said this before, didn't I? Like people's family names and it's a... Yeah. Uh-huh.
Maori names carry deep cultural meaning, and pronouncing them
Sure.
correctly shows respect for the person and their lineage.
Okay, and if you say it wrong, what is the consequence? And again, you say it wrong not as a matter of, discrimination or of criticism or of humor, but you just, you're an honest traveler and you flub a syllable. What happens then? What is the consequence?
The Maori have a concept called whakapapa.
Wait. What? No. I think that's a series on Pornhub, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no. And now, okay. Anybody in the audience who's Maori, now here it comes. I'm in trouble now, right? I'm in trouble now. Oh boy. Well, there goes that demographic for my audience. Let's hear that again.
We have a concept called whakapapa, meaning one's connection to the ancestors.
That's I guess it means both things in both iterations.
Names are essential to whakapapa.
Oh my god, I'm such a third grader. Thank you, JB. Quick, a segue. Topic unrelated. Brown is just dark orange. I just learned this and am mind blown. I guess that is true. Like burnt sienna, that kind of thing. Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. But here's the problem, JB. See, you went your entire life not knowing that brown is just dark orange. How dare you? You've just disrespected orange, I think. That entire aspect of the light spectrum has been insulted by your lack of knowledge this entire time. So you have to apologize. You need to make reparations to the light. Ooh, that sounds deep or something, doesn't it? Make reparations to the light. Sounds like a line from a movie or something. Anyway.
Because they tell the stories of who came before.
They sure do. Is there anything that you can say about this that's not going to just be absolutely hilarious now?
And the importance of names isn't just limited to the Maori culture.
Uh-huh.
My American friend, Robert Kennedy III.
Robert Kennedy Wait, you mean RFK? You're friends with RFK? That Robert Kennedy?
Was named after his father and his grandfather.
Yeah, that's what that whole third thing is about.
Continuing his legacy.
Whose legacy? Okay.
It also reminds me of my friend Vanita.
Venita? Venita. This is it. It's not Veneta or Venetia.
You see, Venita worked at an organization where a supplier who she worked with on a regular basis struggled with saying her name correctly.
Okay.
One day he looks at her and he says, can I just call you Nita? It's just a little easier for me.
Uh-huh.
And reluctantly, she said, okay. But an older, wiser coworker walked up to her and asked, what did your mother name you?
Okay. Let's see. Advocatus. No, that's RFK is a junior. Oh, that's right. RFK Jr. Apologies. That's right. So it'd be his son, I'm assuming then, right? I don't know who that is off the top of my head, or I can't picture that person. Although given the, common Kennedy facial features, probably I could imagine something. And Frostglass, can we get that word she said added to the soundboard? I don't know. I mean, that might if I played it too often, that'd probably tick off YouTube or something. But I will consider it. I will consider it. I need to find the right context in which to make that part of a stinger, though. I will think about it.
Venita, she said softly.
Venita. You mean the same thing that she's been saying the entire time that guy couldn't pronounce?
Well, why don't you honor her and yourself by encouraging people to call you by your given name?
Oh, wait, so this older and wiser person was lecturing this lady on how comfortable she should be and correcting other people about the pronunciation of her name? So wait, somebody is struggling with... Again, I go back to the example from the previous TEDx talk, where the mother... I believe the mother came from... I think the speaker and her family were from Nigeria, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be off. Either way, English was not their first language, and because of the way that words are spoken in their, actually, Adebisi, are you still here? If I remember correctly, the lady from the last TEDx talk like this, I believe you said that she was... No, actually, I remember this, because... you said, I apologize for my people because she's part of my either country or tribe or something. And anyway, Nigeria. Okay, yeah, it was Nigeria. Yeah, okay. And here, let me make sure I give Adebisi credit here. Yeah, so anyway, the mom had a hard time saying the name Ryan. She said Rain. And as hard as she tried, she kept saying Rain, even though it was Ryan, and it's just one of those things. Okay. So, but you can extend the benefit, again, extending the benefit of the doubt. You have somebody who is struggling with saying your name, and they don't want to keep disrespecting you or making it awkward by constantly, knowingly mispronouncing your name. And so they just asked, for the sake of ease of purpose, could I just call you Nita? And then you get somebody walking in and say, well, how dare you disrespect your elders by letting somebody else say your name incorrectly? How ridiculous is that? And so I have to ask our speaker, at least rhetorically or otherwise, is this something she recommends to others? If someone politely capitulates to a revision of their name for ease of purpose, am I then to intervene as a good ally and correct them on their personal choice of comfort level?
You deserve that. See, the act of naming is profoundly impactful. Names do more than just give us a label. They tell our stories. And
oh, for crying out loud. She really is stretching this out to 17 minutes. We're 10 minutes into this.
Shape our identities and celebrate the essence of who we are.
No one would have any clue of the origin of my name simply by hearing it. And someone not knowing that does not offend me.
So you're probably wondering, what does all of this mean?
It means I need a topic for a TEDx talk so I can sound like I'm saying something profound. And I am going to stretch stretch that concept farther than Mr. Fantastic to reach a 17-minute time scale.
Well, I'm so glad you asked.
I am so glad that I asked that you asked. Yeah.
When we get someone's name right,
Mm-hmm.
we're telling them, I see you.
Yeah, we already did this. You already said this. Again, Carpenter versus Charpentier. But the thing is, I had absolutely no idea who that person was, their history, or anything else. Right? That name could have been passed down through 17 generations, and he could have just been some guy from up the street with Charpentier. And his connection to either any particular culture might have been nothing. It's just saying somebody's name right. I didn't honor his ancestry. I just spotted an I in the middle of Carpenter, or at the end of Carpenter.
You belong.
Oh, jeez.
I respect you.
I would have had no less respect for the guy if I'd said Carpenter. And whether or not he took it as an insult, I have no control over.
And that's the foundation of influence.
Okay.
Influence is about projecting power or authority.
It's not? Are you sure about that?
It's about true connection.
Is it, though? If a 3-star general walks into a room full of soldiers who he's never met any at all before, does that person possess influence over those people in that room? Yes. Is it about a connection? Not personally.
In today's world, we're super busy.
In today's... Yeah, because today's world is so much different than previous worlds.
Kind of coming and going to different places, and we're often pulled in many different directions, and time with folks is short.
It can be, depending on your lifestyle, I suppose.
And sometimes the first thing we overlook is someone's name.
Maybe this is just the environment in which I operate more often than anything else. When I'm online, all I've got most times is a name. With my audience, all I have is a name and, an avatar. A name like Miranda Stone. I mean, you guys know about Miranda Stone. So really, my entire sort of quote-unquote semi-professional social universe surrounds literally just names for the most part. I occasionally have the opportunity to talk to people directly on shows or otherwise, but so maybe I'm just more focused on names. Maybe that's it. I can't overlook anybody on here unless I see their name. I guess I could overlook people and just not notice that they're there, like Maddie or Maddie. Because in case, or Matee. Is it Matee? Or are you part of Captain Planet's team? See, now I have to reassess every name that I see that it could be just like Tamika versus Tameka, right? It could be Miranda Stone or Stone. I don't know. I'm second guessing myself all over the place. JB, I don't have to. Well, wait, no. Maybe that's Yabe. Yabe. See, I could be getting it wrong the entire time. I've been saying JB this entire time, but it's Yabe. Yabe, 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 Yabe. Okay. Like the pine trees lining the winding road, I got a name, I got a name. Like the singing bird and the croaking toad, I got a name, I got a name. Those are lyrics to a song I don't know, so I can't sing them. It's sort of like a name that you don't know the pronunciation for. R.I.P. Jim Croce. Or is it Crochet? See, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anymore. The walls of reality are crumbling around me.
Kind of like I did Leatrice when I first met her.
Yeah.
But a name is often the first connection that we make with someone.
It can be, or it could be just a meaningful gaze across the room with a perfectly cocked eyebrow and come hither stare. Anyway.
Take Vice President of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Oh no! Advocatus! I saw it at the top of the show. Advocatus, you said this. You brought this up. You said, how quickly is she going to bring up Kamala Harris? I saw that. Advocatus, this one is for you. Oh, man. Remember, everybody, it's Kamala. You know, like comma in English, not Kamala, like a camel. You're calling her a camel? No, it's Kamala.
Her name, Kamala, means lotus flower.
Sure. I'm sure literally it means that. What am I supposed to derive from the definition of a name as to the person? Right? I mean, how many brain surgeons and serial killers have been named John? A name says nothing about who you are. Right? It is a surface level thing. It is far more an element of identity than the kind of identitarian politics that people usually play into these days with skin color and gender and so on. And yet, still, it is a surface level, cursory idea of a person. It is not a definition of a person. Unless your name is like your profession, as it used to be, you know, like Smith or Carpenter. Oh, wait. Hit the button.
In her South Asian heritage. It's a symbol of strength and resiliency.
It's meaningless in that regard. It says nothing about her. And again, you could have 5 people named Kamala doing all types of different things, behaving in all types of different ways. And the magic of their name does not impart on them some mystical connection. Right? What if you had a person named Kamala who is a shy coward? What do you do then? Have they somehow just like bucked the existential trend of their name somehow?
Despite holding one of the highest offices in American government.
Yeah. I mean, you know, breaking ties in the Senate. Sure.
Her name is often mispronounced.
Yep, and I'm sure that everybody who does it has evil intentions.
And sometimes deliberately.
You're right. You're right. There are people out there who make fun of other people's name. Remember 4 years of Drumpf? How about that?
But here's the thing. It's not just about the name itself.
Oh.
It's about the respect and recognition that it holds.
Why?
Kamala recognized this challenge and made it her business, made it her mission to help other people get it right.
Gosh, sounds awfully petty and self-centered, but whatever.
During the recent Democratic National Convention,
at which she didn't actually arrive there as the result of a primary.
Actress Kerry Washington addressed this directly, saying, "Now I know some of y'all folks aren't sure how to pronounce Kamala's name."
Well, that's a presumption on her part, isn't it?
Confusion is understandable.
Then why do you hold such a judgy attitude about it?
Disrespect is not.
Okay, well, I guess you need to illustrate to me the difference between honest confusion and disrespect. I bet it's going to be in the tone of voice. I just have a feeling.
Then Kamala's nieces, Amara and Leela.
Or maybe it'll be out of whose mouth, given their political persuasion, such a mistake comes. If it is a mistake at all, obviously.
Made their way onto the stage to teach everyone how to say her name.
Wow, sounds really stupid, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Think again, Frosted Glass, if it'll come up here. Come on, StreamYard. There you go. Harris means son of Harry. Guess she's trans. I guess. Sure. You know, if you're going to... in for a penny, in for a pound. What does the rest of her name mean? What am I supposed to derive from that? Oh, man. 5 minutes to go. Or, sorry, 4 minutes to go. A little more.
Comma.
Yes.
Like a comma in a sentence.
Yes.
And la, like la 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 la.
This is a professional speaker, life coach. But it is a TEDx talk. If this was a TED talk, I'd feel more embarrassed.
And pull them together, and it's Kamala.
Wow, thanks.
They led the crowd in a fun call and response, creating a memorable way to remember her name.
Wow. Because, you know, after 3.5 years of the press and everybody else talking about her and mentioning her, I had no idea. You know, it's kind of sad that by the time you get to the Democratic National Convention in 2024, after she ran for president back in 2019 and then as vice president in 2020, has been vice president for the last 3.5 years, that they felt the need to have to reintroduce the country, and specifically the Democratic Party, to their own vice president that way. Yeah, if you think about it for a second, and I know you probably shouldn't, it's actually not that great of a sign.
That's true influence.
That's true desperation.
It's turning a potential barrier into an opportunity for connection.
She's the vice president of the United States. What barrier is left? Except, I guess, the presidency, which she may indeed acquire, which just baffles me to no end.
Now, let's be real.
Oh, prior to all this, we've been fake? I guess I must have told somebody my name is Tommy.
How many times have you met someone, you asked their name, and then you instantly forgot?
How would I know? How could I possibly answer that question? You know, I've met two people in my life. I see it on movies a lot more because someone always has like, I have a perfect memory or something. But I met two people in my life who explicitly told me that they have a photographic memory and they never forget anything. And both times, I'm so glad, both times I was limber enough to ask, how would you know if you did? I just...
Blink really hard 5 times if it's you.
If I blink too hard, will my eyeballs go inside out?
We've all done it. And there's a moment when you panic thinking, oh no, I've been talking to this person for 10 minutes and I have no clue what their name is.
You know, I have had that experience before. I have had the experience. In fact, it happened most often. And I think I could be excused for it. When I was in my live-action role-playing group, I ended up interacting with and referring to people more often by their character name than by their real name. And so over time, my brain and my memory got conditioned when I see this person to think of them by their character name. And I had the experience one time. And of course, somebody can have multiple characters over years and things. So I had this experience one time where I was with my sister and we were at the store, and there walking towards me was a girl from the gaming group. And as I looked at her, this really happened. Through my mind, I went through 5 or 6 different first names that were all character names. And I knew they were character names. I couldn't for the life of me remember her real name. And so she saw me and recognized me and got a big smile on her face. And I was like, ah. And she was like, hi, scribe. Not scribe, but you know what I mean. And I was like, hey. And then I just said the 5 names in a row. And she looked at me for a second and then started laughing her ass off because she understood, right? And I looked at my sister. I said, this is what happens, in this kind of, and she's like, no, it's okay. I'm Christina. Like, yes, right, Christina. I'm sorry. It obviously, I had known her name at the back of my mind. I was just not used to it. So yeah, I've had something like that happen before. It was funny, but see, here's the thing. It was all done in good humor. Anyway.
You may awkwardly try to reach your neck around and read their name tag if they're wearing one, or you're hoping that your colleague across the room swoops in and says their name and saves the day.
Yep.
And then you realize you're out on an island by yourself. Mm-hmm. So you resort to saying, hey, friend.
No, I just fess up and say, I apologize. I am so terrible with names versus faces. That's what I do. That's the adult thing to do. The honest thing to do.
Hey, buddy.
No.
Hoping they don't notice.
No.
But what if instead?
What if instead you acted like a grown thinking adult and just admitted your fault?
Of just trying to cover it up. We just asked again.
I know, right? Gosh, what a crazy nobody does that. Ha ha ha.
I know that people appreciate the effort.
And the honesty.
And it's so much better than pretending that you remember.
You're right. Wow. Okay.
One of my favorite lines to use, and when I'm in that situation is, remind me of your name.
Wow. What a revelation. There's still 2.5 minutes left of this thing.
Again. Because I knew it at some point. And then I flashed my $1 million smile to ease the tension.
You spent that much on your teeth? I'm sorry.
As though Carnegie, the author of How to Win Friends and Influence People, once said,
you really want to cite Dale Carnegie? Is that really an admirable person in today's age?
A person's name to that person is the sweetest sound in any language.
Unless they hate their name. Really. I mean, I've met some people who are like embarrassed. Especially if their parents were like hippies or something and named them like Mountain Star. I saw somebody whose legal middle name was Mayhem the other day. And it wasn't their choice. That's what their parents named them. It's like, Mayhem is my middle name. Isn't that like Penn Jillette? Didn't Penn Jillette name his daughter like Moxie Crime Fighter or something? Something like that.
And I want to add to that. The sweetest sound to someone is of their correctly pronounced and preferred name.
Oh, prefer. Oh, no. Wait. Preferred? We've been talking about given names this whole time. Preferred? Okay, now that one you have to ask for. You can't just know.
So how can we use the power of names to build stronger connections?
Muad'Dib.
4 simple steps.
4 simple steps? That's a list. Oh my God, I forgot I had a bingo card here this whole time. Circling a list. What else? You know, I'm going to circle contradicts own point or argument because over the course of this deal, she's like gone backwards and crosswise on exactly what her point is. Okay, 4 simple steps to correctly pronounce my daughter's name.
Listen and learn.
Listen and learn? Is that the 4 simple steps?
When you ask someone how to pronounce their name, don't just rush it. Get it right.
Yeah. Well, I've succeeded in that, right? Michiru Kururugi. I ask. I take the time. I acknowledge my fault, and I say, okay, give me the phonetics, something that I can latch onto, so I can try to get it right. All right? Or I just go Bridget, because it's become a meme of its own.
Number 2 is use their name regularly.
Well, again, I mostly work with names, so yeah.
People love to hear their name in conversation. It creates connection.
I agree.
Avoid nicknames. And this one's really important.
Wait. No. Nicknames. No. Nicknames can show a sense of affinity and affection beyond someone's real name, a recognition of something, makes them special. Don't you know how the mob works?
And to me, don't shorten or change someone's name simply because it makes you feel better. Ask them their preference.
See, now, this is in the reversal. Noah Alexander Asensio changed his name for my benefit, and I don't think you should do that. I feel really bad. I don't want you to deny yourself, Noah. On my account. That was my failing, not yours. Even though it is kind of funny. I mean, and if everybody calls him Alexander from now on, it's a special name just for him, right? It's a camaraderie. It may be accidental. It's not mean-spirited, but it is a camaraderie that nobody else has, right? And it's something that everybody joins in on. Right? My messing up somebody's name, you know, or likewise giving somebody a nickname, like W.R. Costin, is Emperor W.R. Costin for lore reasons I'm not going to explain. If somebody in the chat knows where Emperor W.R. Costin comes from, well then see, that is part of the grand tapestry of this community, right? It's part of a legacy of knowledge. But these things can be good depending on the circumstance. Now, if you get a nickname that is meant to degrade you or something, the best thing you can do is roll with it. There's this guy who used to be on Live PD, and I think he was a police officer, and his nickname was Sticks. And like as in, like, you know, you pick up a piece of wood off a tree, a stick, Sticks. He's like, I forget his last name, but it was just Stick something, and it sounded really badass, right? It's like really badass name. This is Sticks McLaughlin or something. Like, I don't know. And until the day that he like told the story of where he got that name from, and it's not a very flattering story, but the nickname stuck, and he rolled with it, and it sounds cool. Anyway.
Interestingly enough, I had a coworker named Dave, or at least that's the way he was introduced to me.
But it was Dave.
I noticed over the course of a few months, he kept referring to himself on the phone as, "This is David," or even in correspondence or emails, signed David.
Yeah, because Dave is a generally accepted shortening of the word or the name David. Yeah.
One day I asked him, I said, "Hey, Dave, what name do you prefer?"
I prefer Rex.
And he said, "I've been David all the way up till I worked here, and then all of a sudden someone changed it. No big deal, right?"
Okay, Dave needs to grow the hell up.
But it is a big deal.
Not really.
Don't we deserve to be called the name we prefer?
Deserve? I don't know. How do you behave around others? I don't know. Do you deserve to be called the name you prefer? Out of general, basic, common sense respect, sure. If you start making a big deal out of it, however, I'm going to be saying your name less because I'll be looking for reasons to avoid having to interact with you if I know I'm going to get a drama bomb every time I come by your way. But either way, sure.
And number 4, correct and confirm.
Correct and confirm, right, which I do very often on here.
If you get their name wrong or you mispronounce it, fess up.
Well, I won't know if I mispronounce it unless somebody corrects me. So if I know I'm going in with the possibility of saying it wrong because it's obviously outside of my wheelhouse, then sure. But if I see Latrice and I say Latrice and they don't say anything back to me, fault's on them if there's any fault to be had at all.
Try again.
Yeah.
It's not about perfection. It's about showing that you care.
Well, in that part, I will agree.
It was interesting. As I chatted with Leatrice, who is now a close friend of mine, I asked her the difference that it makes when someone gets her name correct.
How is it spelled? Okay, look. If on the name tag, the I or the E somehow between the L and the A was easily missed, then fine. But if it is spelled Latrice, I cannot hold anyone at fault. And neither should you, and neither should she.
And she said something that stopped me in my tracks. She said, if someone cares enough to get my name correct, something seemingly small.
Tries, how was it spelled? Okay? Carpenter versus Charpentier. One letter difference makes all the difference. I absolutely concede that, but I need to know how this lady's name was spelled on the name tag. This is the part of the story that really needs to be clarified.
That I know they care about something more bigger than that. They care about things that shape who I am and what I stand for.
Oh, get over yourself, Latrice.
And so here's my challenge to you.
Okay.
The next time that you're out and about, lean in and ask someone their name.
What's your name? You know, I do that to women often, and I just don't get the same reaction that I hope for. Hey, what's your name?
And if you're having struggles with pronouncing it, ask them again.
Yeah, well, I do, if it becomes an issue.
See how that small, seemingly small moment can create massive impact for you and for them.
Oh, man, I know when I ask some lady her name, I'm hoping for massive impact. Oh, okay. There you go. 17 minutes of... I don't know. Whatever that was. Whatever that was. All right. Here's the card as I have it. I'm going to go over the card one more time. I'm going to go over the Binjo card. The Binjo card. That's what it is for this show. The Binjo card. Okay, because we have to say it correctly. All you idiots out there calling it bingo. No, it's Binjo. You just didn't know. No, wait. You knew, but you decided not to know, and so that's on you. I'm going to go over the Binjo card one more time. And if you have any arguments for squares to be circled, hold on to them momentarily. Collectivize his own demographic. No, strangely enough, she never really did go down the demographic route, as far as I can tell. Systemic or institutional? No. I mean, I could see how someone could try to make the argument, and I imagine it's probably going to be Advocatus Diaboli, that somehow 30 years of people saying a name incorrectly becomes a systemic problem. And I believe that argument. So I'm going to head you off at the pass. Circle it myself. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, she did talk about, names bring people in and so on, and pronouncing names correctly and criticizing people for not getting it right and so on has been a part of DEI mythos for quite a while, so I'm going to circle that one. Microaggressions or unconscious bias. She never said microaggression, but there was a certain undertone or implication about saying names incorrectly as an offensive gesture or whatever. Grossly mispronouncing someone's name, right? Patriarchy, no. Deceptive statistics, she never brought up any. Economic disparity, not that I recall. Feminism, likewise, no. Marginalization. Yes, at least in spirit by dint of not saying someone's name correctly, you make them feel like they don't belong, like they're on the outside, and so on. White supremacy, she never really... I was surprised. She never brought up race. Not explicitly, as far as I can tell. Word salad, this entire thing, large swaths of this were just words for the sake of filling. 17 minutes for this makes absolutely no sense. This was not a 17-minute presentation on that point. This was like a Netflix Marvel TV show, not Daredevil, but say Jessica Jones. Jessica Jones was, 2 or 3 seasons of stories that maybe lasted 4 episodes, stretched into 13. This was what that was. Or that's what this was. I don't know. Weightless example, non sequitur. Okay, I'm trying to remember now. What examples did she give us? She gave us Latrice. She gave us Tamika. She gave us Kamala. She gave us Fuckapapa. There, I said it. They were all about names. The Tommy thing. The Tommy thing, the job application thing. Absolutely had nothing to do with anything one way or the other. Another didn't prove anything. She didn't lie to back. She didn't come back to that point about names and job of interviews or at all. At all. So circling that one. Attempt to coin new buzzword, buzz phrase. I didn't hear anything like that. Benevolent condescension. Did you guys know that if you say somebody's name in a room, they might turn and look that way? Do you know that there's a reaction in the brain when someone hears their own name?
Bingo.
What? Bingo! Yeah!
Of course! Of course!
There's our first bingo. Anecdote that probably never happened. Did anything sound too good to be true for the sake of her argument or presentation? I don't know. I mean, the only thing that kind of makes me go, is 30 years with no one ever saying anything. But I don't know if that sounds too good to be true. Lastly, leaves out vital context. Yes, how was the name spelled on the name tag? For crying out loud, you cannot demonstrate an honest mistake unless we see what you saw. You did nothing wrong if there was no reason to think the name was spelled any differently than in common parlance or pronunciation. So yeah, definitely leaves out vital context. All right, so that's the card as I have it. If you have arguments for squares to be circled, please put them in the chat now. It helps if you tag me in your comment. And if I've missed it somehow, just please repost it. Scrolling up a bit while you guys get your arguments ready. Blakester, wow, she just recreated a segment from the Electric Company. That was the first time Spider-Man ever appeared in live action. Did you know that? I bet you did. Peter, some of them are Davids, but most of them are Daves, and they all have their own hands, but they've come from different moms. I saw... okay, this is a deep cut. So, I own the Doom novels. Off the video game, like the originals, like the original printings of the 3 little Doom novelettes that were written. And they were written, at least in part, by a guy, and if I remember it correctly, it was spelled D-A-V-Y-Y-D. Or D-A-F-Y-Y-D, something like that. And it's David or David Abhue wrote these books. They are the silliest video game whatevers. You take a plot as relatively thin as Doom and you stretch it out into 3 cheesy novels. But I love them for their own sake. But yeah, when I was like, oh, that's pronounced David. Even though it's like, I don't even know if it has a V in it. It might be D-A-F-F-Y-D or something. But it's like, it's like a David. But it was David Abhue. Like, okay. Anyway. As far as I know, it's pronounced David. If I got that wrong, well then, heck on me. White So Serious. I can pronounce those things. Or is it Wite Su Sorius? I don't know. My name is spelled Hayden. Okay, that's my reflexive pronunciation. But it almost never gets spelt my way. It kills me every time. I don't know how I get through the day scribe. It's only the smooth tones of your voice that helps. Is it Hayden? Or Hadin? Or... Hedun. You need to tell me. You need to give me phonetic pronunciation. I want to get it right. I want to get it right. Tier Alexander. Anecdote, the whole childhood friend thing. You were telling me she has never heard her mother call her name like in anger, or hey, have you seen X today, or do you have X's thing? That's the one out of all the stories that she told that sounded a bit beyond belief, that in 30 years of this childhood friend, at no point anybody said Temecca. Yeah, it's just a bit beyond the pale. Just a bit. Now, maybe it's true, but again, the save all for this is probably. So probably never happened. That was, of all her stories, that was the one that I was just a little bit not quite sure. Oh, Advocast, white supremacy. She could get a call back about jobs she's... Oh. You got me. You got me. The weightless example was also white supremacy. Oh my gosh, how...
Bingo.
What?
Of course!
Our second bingo. Boy, oh boy. Good one. Good one. No, you're right. That's usually the argument that's made when it comes to names put onto job applications, is that there is an inherent racism to anything that isn't a recognizably or commonly white name. All right. Pardon me a moment. So, if you don't know, and I've mentioned this before, I'm currently, hopefully in the last phase of wearing braces. I know, I'm a grown adult with braces. It's like I'm 12 again. And apparently something just dislodged itself. Some little kernel of the energy bar I had before the show just decided to make itself known. And I was like, for a second. It hit that one spot in the back of your throat where you're kind of like, and I had to pause and get it out of my... Anyway, you don't need to know all that. That's all TMI stuff. I'm running on like 3 hours of sleep. What do I know? Professor R2. Imagine how frustrating it must be with the name Sorsha. Right? Or Clarice? I don't know. But even if you spell it right, almost nobody knows how to pronounce it. It's true. It's true. Right? Or Siobhan. Or whatever. Cersei. The Cisco Kid. I don't know. Scrabbly, did you not see my marginalization one? I did not, but I already circled marginalization, so I guess it's a push. Searshoe. Searshoe? Sounds like a way to barbecue footwear. Anyway, Frosted Glass, economic disparity. People with names like unusual names like Tommy's are being turned down for jobs, apparently. That's a bit of a stretch. I already got 2 squares out of that one example. I think 3 is pushing it. My cat's name is Clarice. So when your cat walks in the room, do you say, "Hello, Clarice"? Just tell me you do that occasionally. In your best Hannibal Lecter. Let's see. I have had Hayden, which just confuses me. Try never pronounce an Irish or Welsh name and get it right based on what... Oh, man. Okay, so not quite, but in the same sort of neighborhood. Over on... Well, it's not there anymore because Tailed Future privated all his videos. But there was a time... my mother's side of my mother's side of the family is Scottish, or derives from Scotland. And consequently, I have a little bit of a sentimental love for Scottish culture. And Tailed Feature is, of course, Scottish himself, and he attempted for a time to teach me Scottish Gaelic. And it was hilarious, and I did my best. But because of timing and everything, we did it once a week for like, I think, a month or 2 months or something. And then because of life stuff, either on his end or my end, we had to skip about 1 or 2 weeks and came back and I'd forgotten everything. And he put stuff in front of me that I know I'd seen before. And I was just absolutely helpless. I am terrible with learning new languages. Terrible. I could Duolingo myself into infinity and I'd still screw it up after a while. But anyway. Any other arguments for squares to be circled? Adabisi, Scribelight. I thought the Tommy name thing was a patriarchy thing the way she said it. Here's the problem. I didn't see how it was spelled. I don't know. What was the point of that story? We already have weightless example non sequitur. It's like, well, nobody could say my name right, so I decided to put down a name that's entirely not my name onto a job application, and then now it's a point of offense because someone thought I was going to be male and I walked in and I was female under a false name. I don't know if that's patriarchy, though. That's, I get where you're going, but I think that might be a bit of a stretch. Tier Alexander, collectivized his own demographic, had her to the name thing with the Mimi thing. Oh, you mean, are you trying to make a demographic out of mispronounced names? Is that what you mean? That might be a bridge too far, but let me know. Frosted Glass, buzzword. It may not be her word, but can fuck a papa at least get an honorable mention? You know what? For the sake, it's two bingos for that though. I don't know. Honorable mention. Honorable mention. Definitely honorable mention. That was a highlight of the stream, if nothing else. And the fact that she said it so many times with a straight face, and that obviously I didn't hear any laughing in the audience, but man, I would have been losing it. I would have ruined that TEDx. As soon as she said that, I would have been rolling. Oh man, can you imagine being an accidental heckler at a TEDx talk? All right, yes I am, and yes it is. She wanted to add herself to... Oh, gosh. Okay, so she was trying to shoehorn herself into the category, the demographic of people who have to suffer having their names mispronounced. You know what? Because that was what the entire talk was based on, and she made such a big deal out of it. Tier, I concede. I concede. Based on the subject matter and content of the talk, that is a point worth making. And as a result of that...
I had a dog, and his name was...
What?
I had a dog, and his name was...
Bingo!
Of course!
Oh, won't somebody please?
Bingo. B-I-N-G-O.
Okay!
Right?
Double bingo. And all because of Tyre Alexander. Or sorry, Tyre. It's probably pronounced Tyre, right? You get 4 of those and you can go up a mountain. Any other arguments for squares to be circled, everybody? I think some of them are a little bit outside. She didn't use any statistics. She didn't really bring up disparity economically. Coin new buzzword, buzz phrase, no. Feminism, patriarchy. Yeah, no. It was all name stuff. If she'd said anything about this happens to women more than men or something, maybe, but she didn't. And White So Serious. Sorry, Hayden. Wait, isn't what's that guy's name? No, I'm thinking of Hyde White. That's what I was. I was trying to think of I'm not going to try to attempt to dox you. Like White So anyway. We had a kid at school named Fuck. That's how I'd say it. Pronounced Foo. That's not what you can imagine we thought it was. Yeah, no, I get it. And now I've just ruined the monetization of this. No, I don't monetize these. One more name story. I've told this before too. At one time in my life, I used to work collections. And what I'd have to do is I'd be given a code number with account number or whatever. And I'd have to just put it into the computer to bring up the account with the contact information. I'd have to call that on a phone manually. This wasn't an auto dialer. This is before they had the auto dialer. Not that auto dialers didn't exist at that point. We just didn't have one. And so I pulled up this account one time, and the last name was P-H-A-M, and the first name was spelled B-I-C-H. And there were no notes on this account to clarify to me how I was supposed to pronounce this. And so I turned to my coworker and I said, okay, I need a second opinion here. how would you say this name? And he looks at it and he just starts snickering. And he's like, maybe beach? I don't know. And I'm like, yeah, that's the best I can do. And I want to be at least polite about this because I don't want to screw it up. So I called the number and it rang twice. And this sweet little lady voice comes on. She says, yes, hello. And I said, hi, is this? And I hesitated and I kind of squinted and I went, beach? And she goes, yes, this is bitch. And because I was on collections, I said, hi, this is Scribe from Yada Yada Company, and I'm calling about your dues. So, bitch, where's my money? And she laughed and laughed, and I thought to myself, I just risked getting fired, and my coworker was gaping at, because he couldn't hear the other side of the call. Oh, those were the days. Anyway, holy cow, Keeverdam, thank you so much for the #1 Samurai Dogcat Fox. Oh, Dogcat Fox.
Wowee! Wow! Wow!
Oh, there's a drunken uncle Dogcat Fox. Thank you, Keeverdam. Very much appreciate that. And I think that will play us out as far as tonight. So yeah, a pretty well-filled bingo card. I'm kind of surprised, given that this was a one-note presentation, but you know, it can happen. Now, of course, if you have arguments for squares to be circled after the show, if I missed your comment or if you're watching in the future, I do accept arguments for squares to be circled after the show. And if you do, convince me in a comment that I see. I try to look up the comments. Sometimes YouTube doesn't tell me about them, but if I see it and it convinces me, I will retroactively add a square. And if that does create a bingo, well, I'll make sure that happens. And it'll be all noted on the Discord server. Hey, did you know I have a Discord server? There's a Discord server. Link in the chat for you right now. You just have to click on that link. You'll find yourself on the landing channel called Say Hello. And in addition to saying hello, you just have to say the secret word. The secret word today is pronunciation. Just say hello, pronunciation, and I'll know that you watched the show. Beyond that, what else? Oh, hit the like button on the way out if you would. Share the stream. Leave a comment. All these things purportedly help with the algorithm. Sunday will be the Sunday stream at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, where I'll talk about some news from over the week. Different articles and things. I already have at least one picked out and a couple others. Usually I find it interesting and entertaining to go over these things to sort of close out the week. Beyond that, oh yeah, you can always find me here every Thursday for at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern for TED Excellence. Sometimes you can find me over on Midnight's Edge, sometimes in the morning, sometimes after dark. It all depends on when and if I'm invited, and I have the time, and I'm not working at that moment. Sometimes I've played hooky just to be on Midnight's Edge, because I'm like, I'm on Midnight's Edge. I'm on a stream with Paul Chato. I'm on a stream with Endymion. I don't know what's going on here. These things just do happen. Outside of that, yeah, okay. Sleep Dept Brain, let's move on. Everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated, holy cow. Tonight of all nights, thank you guys so much for your generosity. I really, really do appreciate it. And also, if you haven't already, please take a look at the link at the top of the chat box for the Samaritan's Purse organization to help out victims of Hurricane Helene and now Milton. Please donate if you're able. If you're not, please share that out on social media. Elsewise, everyone, I hope you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. I hope your Friday is relaxed and a good end of the week. I hope you have a good weekend. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.